south in Kerala, up there in Jammu and Kashmir as well. That's all one can talk about. The rain pain, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Who's behind this particular rain mess when we're looking at the national capital region? Take a look at some of these visuals. Schools that have been shut down, proper traffic snarls. The recent relentless downpour, breaking records with the heaviest two-day rainfall in July in over 4 decades. It has brought Delhi-NCR to its knees. The scenes of chaos and devastation are hard to ignore. Waterlogged roads, flooded homes, collapsing houses, and uprooted trees have transformed the city into a waterlogged labyrinth. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, he's called a meeting on the rain situation. Senior officials are expected to be present. Discussions on the increasing level of the Yamuna are also expected to take place. Officers from the Municipal Corporation of Delhi and the Irrigation and Flood Control Department are going to be present at the meeting. This, even as schools in Delhi, Gurugram, Noida are going to stay shut today amid heavy rain and flooding, and in Uttar Pradesh till the 15th. But here's the kicker. Despite facing waterlogging issues year after year, Delhi still lacks a comprehensive drainage plan to combat these deluges. So what's behind Delhi's waterlogging woes? Is it the shocking truth of an absent drainage plan? It's hard to fathom that a city known for its grandeur, history and aspirations hasn't really managed to implement a well thought out drainage master plan. It was back in the year 2011. The Delhi government partnered with IIT Delhi to create such a plan, which was finally presented in 2018. However, much to everyone's surprise, the plan was shelved for being deemed generic and lacking actionable points. So right now, we're asking tough questions, and we really want you to become a part of answering these tough questions. Get down in the comment sections and let us know, why has Delhi struggled to tackle its waterlogging problem? Who is responsible for the delay in implementing a comprehensive drainage plan, and what are the consequences faced by the city's residents and infrastructure due to this negligence? Like I said, get down in the comment section and let's together unravel the reasons and seek a path towards a drier, safer and a more resilient Delhi. Before we move on and expand this discussion, I'm going to be joined by my colleague and news editor Pankaj Mishra and Varghese P. Abraham with me here in the studio. But Atishi Marlena, there's a reaction which we'll play out for you in just a short bit as well. Look at some of these visuals, Varghese. The entire national capital region brought to its knees, and we'll come back for the comparison between Noida, Gurugram and Delhi, what's happening where. Schools are shut all across these 3 places. In the national capital, some linchpin roads like the Ames Highway, that loop of flyovers, that was completely inundated. The Pragati Maidan underpass has been stopped for any kind of traffic, and schools are shut. Trees are uprooted. Some 200 complaints of waterlogging in their areas. Some 13 complaints of houses and walls collapsing. The Delhi fire services were deployed and were mobilized in various areas across the national capital. What are you picking up first and foremost? Every year we come back and ask the same question: who's behind this? But do you think it's time we get an answer for that after a record rainfall of 41 years?
Well, we are going to see record rainfalls, and we are going to in fact see flooding in the comparable future, because Delhi as a city has in fact grown over the years, and it is a city that is always being remade. So the natural question is, when you're doing town planning, there's an issue about whether you know the natural drains of the city. So how is the natural drains of the city that is built over here? So we have to first find out whether the drains, as we call it in Delhi, if they exist or not, or the natural drains have been, clogged up. Have they been encroached upon? Have they been completely taken over by constructions, or have it been remodeled to suit a certain this thing? So if you're remodeling the drain, of course, you might be going against the natural gradient, but you have to create a gradient for the water to flow. Water, of course, like all of us know, finds its own level. It doesn't flow against the gradient. It flows according to the gradient and towards, towards the lower side. So when we talk about it, the drain system of Delhi is something that needs to be looked into, whether the remodeled drains are right in their gradient, whether they follow the natural gradient of the land, If they are not following the natural gradient of the land, of course, we are going to find out, in a harsh reality hitting our face when our roads are flooded and our waterlogging happens and there is no way for the water to move. This is one aspect of it. But Kabir, there is something called sedimentation and the most problematic of all, disposal of garbage in tertiary as well as secondary drains. So when secondary drains and tertiary drains have a lot of garbage, that is the easiest way where a lot of people just dump their garbage, and that garbage tends to clog. And once it starts clogging, it becomes a chain reaction. It becomes a chain reaction to the point that even the main drain is unable to take on the load because the water is not moving away from the main drain, or rather is not moving into the main drain. This will result in water clogging happening across the place, and this later turns into what we call as waterlogging. So sedimentation and garbage could be one of the reasons. So what normally happens is during the summer months, you tend to clean up your drains by removing the sedimentation as well as any sort of garbage that could be piling up, that could be blocking the culverts. This could be the reasons why things could be bad. But then there is the other bigger question. Have the drains been encroached upon by construction activity? Have they been modified without the knowledge of the city authorities in a manner that leads to stagnation of this thing? Again, the problem is when it is modified without the knowledge of the authorities. What happens is that privately, when you remodel that particular section of the drain, you might not know whether it's following the gradient or not. There would have been a particular gradient that had been followed from kilometers together to allow the water to flow in such a manner that it moves out of the region.
Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi, he's cancelled all government officials' leaves. He's called for this special meeting on Yamuna as well, even as we're expecting the water level in Yamuna to rise as well. That could be quite catastrophic for Delhi and Noida as well. We're looking at shots of the house right outside Atishi Marlena's house, Delhi ministers. This is the situation, and she was on the ground taking stock of the entire situation as well. But what does this showcase? The Delhi government, cancelling all those leaves, asking all the government officials to hit the ground running and assess what's really happening on the ground. Does this showcase that the Delhi government was sort of caught napping, and now it's trying to do as much as it can, at least for optics, it's happening?
Well, for optics, of course, in politics, all optics works. So leaders being on the ground could be, but is it something that could have been avoided? And if it could have been avoided, what could have been the measures that should have been taken to get it avoided? So that is the big question that would be asked, and therefore I think the politicians themselves will have to ask those questions, saying as to what could be the reason. Look at those visuals. I mean, this actually points to the fact that there is no way for the water to move out. So which means either the gradient has been messed with, and that's why there is no proper water going on. There is a huge blockade in the tertiary as well as the the side drains of that particular structure. So this in fact points to that the side drains have been technically completely been overwhelmed, and that's why there is no way for the water to move. Or this could be, in fact, the side drains in this area could be fine, but further downstream further down the drain network, there could be a problem of a blockage that could have led to this kind of flooding happening, and it would have resulted in water accumulating and later water not moving from that area, and then of course water spreading out in these residential areas. So right now I think these are the aspects that have to be looked into.
We're looking at Atishi Marlena's residence, well, the visuals right outside.
We see that there's huge infrastructure close to that place also.
Right. Let's quickly listen in to what the Delhi minister had to say, and then we'll come back for more.
कल सुबह तक हथनीकुंड बैराज से हर घंटे में करीब 45,000 क्यूसेक पानी छोड़ा जा रहा था। अब वो संख्या तकरीबन 3 लाख क्यूसेक प्रति घंटे पर पहुंच गई है। ऐसा लग रहा है हमारे कैलकुलेशन के हिसाब से कि कल सुबह तक जो वाटर लेवल है वो डेंजर मार्क से ऊपर पहुंच जाएगा। अब सवाल ये है कि अगर लगातार फिर भी बारिश चलती रही, क्योंकि हरियाणा में बरसात हो रही है, उससे पीछे हिमाचल प्रदेश में बरसात हो रही है, तो आगे चलते हुए और कितना पानी आता है, इस पर हमने एक पैनी नजर बनाई हुई है।
Well, how important is it, for these political parties to come to a level ground and, shake each other's hand, meet each other halfway? Because time and again we've seen how the Haryana government and the Aam Aadmi Party government, be it the frothing in Yamuna, be it the pollution in Yamuna, or water sharing, all kinds of water politics. Haryana and Delhi haven't really seen each other eye to eye. How important is that, and has that impacted the kind of situation we're looking at, or is this just purely a planning problem and we need government agencies to now collaborate more with
Kabir,
the ideas of the
when you
resident
have a
welfare
situation like
associations?
this, I don't think so any government is like going to ask us how much of water you're going to leave or how much of water you're not going to leave. I mean, nobody is going to look at, of course, when you have a dry year, people would fight for that water. But right now, with excess water being let out, and I think what the minister was saying also is that it could reach the danger mark. The question is that we are looking at probably the Yamuna bursting its banks. So they are, of course, continuously monitoring the situation because it's still raining in the hilly areas and in the catchment areas right now. So the water is bound to, inflow is bound to increase, and that is going to be the situation. So the question is, are we prepared for it or not, is the big issue that we should be looking at right now. Because if Yamuna, of course, bursts its bank, there are so many residential areas that would be coming under its sway, and water will take time, a lot of time for it to drain out. But I think, are we prepared for it? That is the big question, and probably the close monitoring of it, saying that the Yamuna is flowing above the danger mark or something, would be a likely warning of that possibility.
And it seems like it's not just a wake-up call for the government of Delhi. It's also a wake-up call for the residents of the national capital, because we're taking a major loss here. And you rightly pointed out that, you know, people throw their garbage out and don't really see how in months to come it's going to come and bite them in the back. It's your, you know, cigarette buds, your toffee wrappers that you throw outside of a moving car also, that go and jam up the entire drainage system. What needs to be done now in terms of you know, government intervention?
Well, government, we have to just wait and watch for the water to first settle down. Probably the extraordinary situation on the Yamuna, if it comes down to a much acceptable level and probably is on the normal flow again, then we can wait and see as to what the next measures should be. And it is very simple. It is desilting the drains, ensure that the tertiary and an audit of the tertiary as well as the you know, side drains are carried out, and secondary and tertiary drains especially needs to be carried out, because that is where the propensity.
Look at that! Look at that, Varghese! Look at that, Varghese! That's an entire. I think this particular you know, area that the road has caved in can fit a tempo traveler as well, a small-sized bus, and the police is already there. Traffic snarls and traffic updates is something that the residents of the national capital are going to be looking at, and not just the national capital, the entire NCR area. These are visuals from Rohini, the national capital region, where people are, well, you know, now having to change their routes, change their roads. That Pragati Maidan, you know, underpass, that's very crucial for the moving traffic in the central part of Delhi. And with that being shut now, people have to, like, you know, alter their routes, and that's going to create a different set of traffic signals as well. Exactly. The Central Water Commission said that the water level in the river Yamuna is expected to surpass the danger mark of 205.33 meters on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Shahadra District Police visited Yamuna floodplains and has alerted the residents about the rising water level. The police also urged local residents to shift to a safer place amid the rising levels of Yamuna. My colleague Pankaj Mishra also joins us on the broadcast here. Pankaj, what's the situation around where you are? You know, kids are not going to school anymore. For them, it's a summer break kind of a situation, but on the road, it's complete perils and plight for people who are trying to get back to work.
Kabir, the situation here in the Delhi-NCR region is not helping, and yes, the schools are closed today. The Noida part where I live specifically hasn't thankfully witnessed that much of waterlogging, which is, you know, many of those living in Noida would say that the situation is better than Delhi and Gurugram. But having said that, it doesn't help that much, because the issues, the peculiar problems that you and Varghese were just discussing about the throwing of the garbage, the you know, unplanned discharge of the waste is something that has now percolated into such a big issue, where almost all the drains are choked, and not much of the space is left for the for the garbage to flow. Now, what does it call for, and how it can be, avoided is pretty simple. As we speak, my kid is taking her online classes, and she is at a very tender age of 5 and 6, and she is just in class one. But the teachers are focusing on the proper disposal methods, how to dispose the garbage, where to throw the garbage. This is the first step, which I think most of us have forgotten. What we had also learned in schools, and the waterlogging obviously needs no explanation why it has happened. Obviously, because of the choke drains. So what we can do is to implement what we have learned in schools. First of all, very honestly. Second, we need to avoid stepping out if there is, not that dire need as of now to take our four-wheelers and go out and venture in the open. If you have offices, obviously has to be attended, or if work from home can be arranged, that would be good on the part of the employers.
Pankaj, but at the same time, I feel like not stepping out until it's absolutely necessary is now, we're at that point where we're looking for precautionary measures. But how do we make sure that there is more public awareness, number one, and secondly, that people, have some sort of ownership and responsibility towards maintaining a functional drainage system? I mean, Delhi does not have a drainage system at all.
Yes, see, again, this, there was a time when we used to discuss this at length, when it used to come to Bangalore. Okay. And not long ago, only a few months ago, we saw unfortunate deaths also happening in Bangalore due to clogged roads and cars getting submerged. Now, this is the turn of Delhi. Tomorrow, the situation will happen in Patna. Then we will see this happening in Bhopal as well. This is inevitable unless we pay heed to this. Because trust me, Kabir, there are newsrooms, there are people who would say, chalo, ye sab kaun chalata hai, kaun dekhta hai, isse kya hoga, is par logon ko interest nahi hai. But no, this is a fact. I mean, there are, assumptions being made ki, we will think about the nature tomorrow. Okay, we will think about mere akele garbage फेंकने से क्या हो जाता है, देखो लोग इतना कर रहे हैं. All this mentality is, the resultant of what we are witnessing on the roads as of now. And as far as Delhi is concerned, well, yes, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal had embarked on the cleaning of all the drains also, and they were distributed in 4 phases, if I am not wrong. And the first phase of work had already started. But trust me, it is a huge, humongous Herculean effort to clean the clogged drains. Yes, this should happen on a regular basis. There are checks and balances in place. There are mechanisms like STP and ETP, which is effluent treatment plants and sewage treatment plants, which need to be functional and put up also in as many numbers as possible as required. And also there are other steps which the municipality has to take. But for that also, it's not just the money that is required. It is the common factor of association. I mean, let me mention it. Istiklal Street is a place in Turkey's capital, Istanbul, where there are 2 million footfalls almost on a daily basis. 2 million, which is 20 lakh people crisscross that one long street on one day in 24 hours. And you know how many garbage bags, how many ice cream wrappers or chocolate wrappers you will find, or chips bag on the street? None. Zero. You know why? Because first of all, people are sensitized. They know that I don't have to throw it. Even if someone throws it, there are people at every 100 meters with a broom and a collection box, and they collect that wrapper. So this is Singapore, for that matter. Why I am mentioning these names? Because one would say that Pankaj is speaking through his expensive hat, mentioning all the foreign countries. But hey, let me remind you of all the political promises that we had कि हम दिल्ली को सिंगापुर बना देंगे, हम भारत को ये बना देंगे, हम वो बना देंगे. ये नहीं होगा unless we change ourselves, unless we take the pledge, unless we take the onus upon ourselves. It is not going to happen. This will be repeated once again.
Well, certainly, Varghese, coming to the unscientific planning of underpasses and trying to really unravel what is ailing Delhi's, drainage problems, the drainage disaster rather. Do you have certain points? I mean, can we pinpoint what is not working out for Delhi for sure?
See, when you have...
even as well, showcasing visuals of Noida to the viewers now, where you can clearly see that comparatively it's much, much better than what we've seen in Gurugram and in the national capital. There are also, voices in various, corners and realms of society that say that, Noida is a place that is developed by government agencies, whereas Delhi was something that had a lot of builder influence into it. So that's where the planning also
especially
comes
in
about.
Gurugram area also. There are a lot of builder elements.
Before we talk about the ailing points of Delhi, how are you looking at that comparison? You've lived in Delhi, now you're living in Noida. What's the comparison that you can
Delhi,
sort of draw?
there is a problem with Delhi is that you cannot fix anything unless you actually go on a demolition spree, because it's a very old city with a lot of communities that are there which are built over at times in planned places, but at times in completely unplanned manner in which the development has occurred. So it is not going to be easy to actually find out where these natural drains are or how to keep them clean. It's going to be a very difficult and high task. Now, if you are going to actually get to the natural drains, you will be surprised that you'll have to go through a lot of demolitions. You have to remove a lot of the buildings that have come upon these natural drains, and then that is going to be another headache for you. So Delhi, what is left you can do is that existing systems, you can identify the areas that inundation does take place and probably remodel those drains. Or it's very simple, in the summers ensure that you desilt the tertiary as well as the primary drains, the secondary drains and the tertiary drains all at the same time. All the three drains have to be, done at the same time, and all of them have to be desilted at the same time, and the sedimentation should be removed along with the garbage and the possibility of this happening. So the idea is that the water should flow. All your drains should, the idea is that it shouldn't get clogged and the water shouldn't accumulate, the water should flow. The constant flow of water should be recorded, and this is going to be a Herculean task, because for that you have to go to the maps of the drains, you have to go to the old natural drain maps, which just means you have to do so much of research on it. And existingly as of now, fine relief that you can give, well, as I said, you have to wait and watch for the rains to come down, because now it is just too late. But once the monsoon ends, you have to constantly keep your drains clean. Nothing else can solve this problem other than to keep monitoring the blockages in the drains and to keep it constantly clean so that the water flow is always maintained. Otherwise, we are probably going to see a mess like this, or even a messier situation than this.
Well, certainly. Pankaj, in terms of what is ailing Delhi, what's your take on it? Is it drains not following the natural gradient of the area? Is it clogging of the drains? Is it unscientific planning? Varghese was talking about sedimentation in the initial bits of the show, and illegal construction, encroachment. What's your take on it? What do you think is ailing Delhi the most right now?
Yes, see, illegal encroachment is one big issue that is ailing Delhi for sure. And we had seen the drive from the Delhi Development Authority when they started dismantling and breaking down the illegal structures. But we also know what kind of politics happened after that, and also legal angle, religious angle, everything came into picture. We started attaching sentiments to it कि हमारी क्यों तोड़ रहे हैं, देखिए कितने लोग और बनाते हैं, उनका क्यों नहीं होता है. Again, this whole cause of natural dispensation or natural discharge of the garbage was again put on the back burner. So that was very much there. Now, that is one aspect. The other aspect is, sedimentation or desiltation or whatever it is. We are no experts in that regard of how these things can be cleaned up. But my only point is that it happens on two aspects. The first one is the urban planner should put into consideration the longevity, the life of the drainage system. First of all, if a drainage system would work only for say 10 years, then by 8th year there should be proper cleaning up, there should be proper steps being taken to fix them and increase their life. The second one is the onus is on the people also. And the people, once again, I would say that in Delhi, let me go ahead and say in India, no one is concerned about what happens outside their houses. Okay, there are a few NGOs, there are a few nature crusaders, there are a few voices here and there. But trust me, they don't find voice on the national media. They don't find voices or takers. The acceptability is not there because the danger is imminent, but we can't see it. We see it only once it rains, cats and dogs, and then we forget. Acha, chalo, theek hai, ho jayega, barish hui thi to kya hua? Let me do this once again. So people forget. The thing is, it has gotten into our DNA as such that we are so much surrounded by so many, social issues here and there, bijli, pani, school, and everything, that this aspect, this hole in Rohini, has become a site of public ridicule. But the thing is, will the person who manufactured, or the construction contractor who got this road, will he be sacked? Will he be jailed? In other countries, it happens. I remember there was an under construction flyover which collapsed in Johannesburg, South Africa. And trust me, the day it happened, minutes, not even hours, minutes after that, all the relevant members of the associated with that construction were, not arrested, but were held accountable, and they were asked to not leave the country and not do anything unless the proper probe is done. So that is the level of probe and investment we are looking at, not just cosmetic things that we will fill it. Acha chalo ye to chalta hai attitude. That won't work.
Also, Kabir, just to add to what Pankaj has been, there are 201 natural drains for Delhi that has been divided into three natural drainage basins. One is the Najafgarh basin, then you have Barapala basin, and then you have the Trans Yamuna basins. All of them having their own networks. So it is important that we are actually clear of the natural drains as fast as possible, because it is not that a city doesn't have enough, and see, there are cities that don't have enough and more natural drains, but this city has got its own natural drain network, and I think that should be maintained first before we go to the remodeled drains that have been created by the builders.
But I mean, people don't necessarily know about these natural drains or whether they exist or not, and the points that Pankaj has raised, about just the psyche of people on the ground is something that needs to be dealt with at first. The lessons that we've learned, if at all there are any that we've picked up, because Varghese and I were talking in the morning, Pankaj, about how since 2013, every year, without fail, you see some sort of extreme weather calamity, extreme weather incident that takes place every year since the year 2013. Some year it's Bihar, some year it's Jammu and Kashmir. In terms of what lessons we've learned from the recent Deluge disaster, take a look at what's happening in Punjab and Himachal Pradesh as well, if we broaden the ambit a little. Are there any lessons learned? You've been giving us some really great, foreign and international solutions to these problems. What are some lessons that we've picked up this time around?
First and the easiest lesson, Kabir, is to blame the authorities. Okay, I think we are born with that. I mean, we see our parents doing that, we pick on that, and without doing our due diligence, we immediately pass it on to the authorities. In case of Delhi, again, no different from Bengaluru, and there was no matter of pride. People would fight, people would have friendly banter that Delhi is better, Bombay is better, Bengaluru is better, this is there. At the bottom line, if you take a look at it, there is a generic civic apathy which underlines and connects Chennai, for that matter, down south, smart cities concept. What happened to that? Bengaluru becomes a swimming pool. Delhi became a swimming pool. Gurugram, the most recent concrete jungle that we have, developed in Haryana. I mean, what happened to that? Where were the planners? Were they selling just the land by the cost of lakhs per square feet? And who paid? Who would pay the attention? So it's a cycle, Kabir. So the planner does not do the due diligence when it comes to sewage disposal or garbage disposal. Why? Because we never asked for it. We just say कि हमारे घर के सामने पार्क है कि नहीं. अब पार्क के नीचे क्या हो रहा है, पार्क के आसपास क्या है, what are we doing to the park? That's why they never pay attention to that. And then there are palms to be greased. That's the easiest way to get
Somik Nag, Pankaj, somebody on the in our chat box has said a large section of people in Delhi are utterly irresponsible and always callous towards disposing garbage. It is not prudent to always point fingers on the government or at the municipal corporations.
I have been saying that. Yes, that's true. I mean, that's why I said it's the easiest of the thing to blame the administration. Where is our due diligence? That's what I am talking about. What are we doing about it? Nothing. Trust me, nothing. That is the least that comes to, and I can guarantee. Please pardon my anger here, if at all it is reflecting, that it is not going to go away unless we change ourselves completely, overhaul, because our apathy towards our own surrounding is such that these are only things, if you look at these cluster of shops that you are showing, if they want, can't they press on the authorities to keep the locality vicinity clean? Can't they also contribute to it and keep the vicinity clean and manage that and ensure that the drains are cleared? I'm sure they must be paying some or the other sort of maintenance fee there. Why encroach? Why put one more stall in front of your shop and wait for the disaster to happen? This is Gurgaon, I believe. Those
Right,
covered
you're right.
underpasses. I mean, this is an apathy. I mean, who look at when the world would see that? What an irony! There is a flyover which has been built with an
Exactly,
investment
exactly.
of crores and crore rupees, and then there is no drainage system. Penny wise, pound foolish. This is what we call
Pankaj,
these things.
just to take up, when you pointed out, look at how it is flooding next to a flyover. You know, when a flyover, huge structure comes there over there, the first thing you should note is that there is a lot of water that is going to accumulate in that place, because you have the water flowing out from the flyover on both the sides. It's going to come. Where is that water going to go? Have you taken account of it, or you just build the flyover and the rest of the drains over there don't matter to you at all, or you do just the kind of work that you have to take in to capacity of how much of water will be flowing down the flyover? That is a huge capacity that you have to be looking at, because you have increased the surface of the water to accumulate. So, and to flow down. So, when a flyover comes also, there's so much of water that gets accumulated, it comes through its side drains, it's flowing straight onto the road below. From there, does your drainage have the capacity to remove that water from there?
All right, gentlemen, you know what? We've spoken a lot about the problems and perils right now. To bring this discussion onto a lighter note, especially this for Pankaj, are there any inspiring stories of resilience that you people have read over the course of the last 24 hours in this record deluge? I know about this lady who helped out all the dogs in her vicinity with a proper inbuilt shelter home, like a ready-made shelter home that she just, DIY'd on the spot. Any other resilient stories that you can share with the viewers here?
Well, Kabir, yes, at every step of the way, we have both positive and negative stories. And one quick example that I would give to you is of those sewer cleaners who were at work yesterday when it was raining cats and dogs again on a Sunday. Noida Authority, where I live, had pressed them into action. You know why? To take out the garbage and the rainwater out of the basements of these high rises that Noida is known about. And those guys were putting in all effort using mechanized motors and garbage sewage collector vans, collecting vans, and they were getting drenched in rain, but they were making sure that the water is taken out of the basement. So that was the case. The basement where people would be parking their cars, and the same people, I would say, unashamedly, which includes me also. I don't think we even think twice before throwing that wrapper out of the car's window, talking about the cars, or choosing a lesser number of cars where one household has more than two cars, going for CNG, going for electric vehicles. बहुत महंगा है, CNG की line बहुत लंबी होती है. Who would think? The question is, who would think? The same thing you see on daily traffic. Forget about Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, or Chennai. If you look at India as a unison, as a whole, the impression that the foreigners or someone living outside India from Nepal or Bangladesh get is the fact that the traffic system is bad. People don't have patience. Every aspect of our social life, which is not related to our house or personal life or official work, we all are same in that regard. No one gives two hoots about what is happening outside your jurisdiction, your house or your car. That's it. Rest of the part is a garbage bin. You do whatever you can, and this aspect is what differentiates us and puts us on on the backside from rest of the world. We say world is a global village. Why don't we take lessons from them? Why don't we change ourselves? No,
Certainly.
people come back after studying in the US and UK colleges, and when they come back, they start spitting. They start parking their cars at the wrong place where the drains are broken, and the car goes down. So it takes two to tango. It's not that a drain broke and the car went into. What if the car was parked at the wrong place? So we don't have civic sense, we don't have parking sense, we don't know where to spit and shit, and we don't have any sense of where to actually discard our garbages.
And it's not even that, Pankaj. I personally feel that, those who even use their dustbins or, would like to use the dustbins nearby, they also forget about the garbage once as soon as you put it inside the bins, because the minute you put it inside the bins, your job is done. Now it's the job of the municipality. Now the municipal corporations are going to take care of it, and it's going to get dumped at a landfill site, and lo and behold, a couple of months later, we'll see again, how those fires will start emanating from those landfill sites. We're looking at Kartavya Path. I mean, the Rajpath, the Kartavya Path, shedding colonial past. It was such a big thing this Republic Day. People thronging the Kartavya Path. Look at these visuals. No drainage facility here as well. There is waterlogging over here as well. It's brand new, crores of rupees that have been spent, but still a lack of drainage system. But again, like Pankaj pointed out, it takes two to tango. We must, whilst we're calling out the government and the ruling dispensation, we must also categorically look inside our own collars as well. Varghese, looking ahead of how the Chief Minister is now reacting to the situation, we know what's done is done, and they say let bygones be bygones, bring solutions to the table and not problems. With the latest set of meetings that are taking place, Atishi Marlena, actually, you know what, I'm being told that we actually spoke to Atishi Marlena. Let's play out that conversation real quick and we'll come back.
आतिशी जी, आप खुद ग्राउंड जीरो पे उतरी हैं, बाढ़ की हालत बहुत खराब की आशंका हो सकती है, क्या आपने जायजा लिया, क्या आपने देखा?
देखिए, आज मैं ये क्या क्या दिल्ली की स्थिति है रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस को लेके, इवैक्यूएशन ऑपरेशंस को लेके, उसका जायजा लेने आई थी। तो यहाँ पे बेसिकली 4 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं, उन सबके डीएम्स यहाँ पे मौजूद थे, उनके सारे इवैक्यूएशन प्लान्स को भी हमने रिव्यू किया है। ये एक दिल्ली का ऑलमोस्ट 50 किलोमीटर का स्ट्रेच है, जिसमें पानी जो यमुना का दिल्ली में है, 50 बोट्स हैं, तो हमने हर एक 2-2 किलोमीटर पर बोट्स को स्टेशन किया हुआ है। ऑलरेडी जो सारा खादर वाला एरिया है, वहाँ पे मुनादी शुरू हो गई है। मुनादी में लोगों को बताया जा रहा है कि यमुना का जलस्तर बढ़ रहा है, लोगों को इवैक्यूएट भी किया जा रहा है। ऐसी अपेक्षा है कि विदिन 24 आवर्स, आज हम जहाँ पे खड़े हैं यहाँ तक भी पानी पहुँच जाएगा, 10-12 फुट पानी, क्योंकि हथनीकुंड बैराज से लगातार हरियाणा पानी छोड़ रही है, तो उसका पानी भी हमें कल डेंजर मार्क तक दिल्ली में पहुंच जाएगा।
मैम, लगभग कितना पानी छोड़ा गया, और अगर बाढ़ की स्थिति बनती है तो कितने लोगों को रेस्क्यू कराना पड़ेगा?
देखिए, कल सुबह तक 45,000 क्यूसेक प्रति घंटे के हिसाब से पानी छोड़ा जा रहा था। कल रात तक पहुंचते पहुंचते ये 3 लाख क्यूसेक प्रति घंटे पर पहुंच गया है। दिल्ली पहुंचने में 36 से 48 घंटे लगते हैं, तो एक्सपेक्टेड है कि कल सुबह तक पहला पानी का जो एक भारी संख्या कल सुबह से छोड़ी जा रही है वो पहुँचना शुरू होगी। आज मुख्यमंत्री अरविंद केजरीवाल जी ने भी 12 बजे एक रिव्यू मीटिंग इसी के लिए बुलाई हुई है, क्योंकि ऐसा लग रहा है कि दिल्ली में शायद बाढ़ की परिस्थिति भी धीरे धीरे बन रही है।
मैम, कितने हजार लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया जाएगा, और खाने पीने के व्यवस्था?
करीब 30,000 लोगों की इवैक्यूएशन का हमारा प्लान बना हुआ है, और उनके रहने का, उनके खाने के सारे अरेंजमेंट।
मैम, मेरा आखिरी सवाल है, मानसून की वजह से पूरे दिल्ली में सड़कों की स्थिति खराब हो गई थी, कई जगह पानी भरा है, क्या हमें पहले से ही इसकी तैयारी कर लेनी चाहिए थी, या अगर चूंकि 41 साल का रिकॉर्ड टूटा है बारिश का, बारिश लगातार ऐसे ही होती रही, येलो अलर्ट जारी है, तो क्या लगता है कि दिल्ली की सड़कों का क्या हाल होगा?
देखिए, जब हम तैयारी करते हैं तो हम पिछले 5 साल, पिछले 10 साल के वेदर पैटर्न्स के हिसाब से करते हैं। दिल्ली में पिछले 5-10 साल में 100 mm से ज़्यादा बारिश कभी नहीं हुई है, और 100 mm भी बहुत ज़्यादा बारिश है एक दिन के लिए। इस बार 40 साल के रिकॉर्ड के बाद 150 mm बारिश 24 घंटे में हुई है। 20% पानी जो 2 महीने में गिरता है वो एक दिन में गिर गया, तो स्वाभाविक बात है कि शहर का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर स्ट्रेच तो होगा ही। किसी भी ड्रेनेज सिस्टम में इतना ज़्यादा पानी हाथों हाथ खाली करने की व्यवस्था नहीं है। पंप्स की व्यवस्था हमने बढ़ा दी है, लगातार बढ़ा रहे हैं। PWD, MCD सारे विभाग 24 घंटे काम कर रहे हैं। हमारी पूरी कोशिश रहेगी कि दिल्ली वालों को कम से कम परेशानी।
Well, so alert in state, schools remain shut. People have been categorically told to avoid unnecessary travel. But Varghese, the steps that Atishi is talking about, the Chief Minister calling that particular meet, a hefty focus on Yamuna, keeping the politics aside, even though it's quite natural that Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP in Haryana will continue to take part in this political brinkmanship. Do you think the steps that the government is now taking are the right steps, calling on to the meet, taking care of the people who are living in low-lying areas, given the fact that thousands of cusecs of water has been released by Haryana into Yamuna?
Well, thousands of that
Lakhs,
is part
lakhs
of it. I mean,
rather,
that is going to happen because, as I said, these are catchment areas, and therefore the water, it's raining intensely over there. That water is going to come. Now, right here, the government seems to be talking about mitigating the crisis rather than having a solution for it. Because right now, of course, as I said, it is little too late right now to even think about it. So they are trying to mitigate the crisis that is at hand, and therefore that is what they can do best right now. But we cannot keep mitigating crisis whenever it happens. In 41 years, you've had a big deluge like this. Your city's infrastructure was supposed to be able to take it. It's not that it was incapable of taking it. As I just mentioned, some of those statistics, it's got 201 national drains alone. So there could be remodeled drains which also add to it. So that's a different topic. But away from mitigation strategy, I think we should be looking at long-term strategy of trying to ensure that no matter whatever the deluge is going to come, your drains are free enough to take it, unless it is the hand of God kind of a situation where we have the heavens opening up and the rains really being completely uncontrollable. But in a lot of places, the waterlogging was avoidable yesterday because it was only because of pure blockading of the channels that you see the waterlogging happening. Otherwise, the flow would have been fine and perfect. So I don't think so that would have been the case. But rather than going towards a mitigation strategy, we should have a long-term solution to this. And for that, you require not only a long-term plan of remodeling the drains, identifying the drains, ensuring that the drains work, but you have to have a constant monitoring capacity. So now it is with the PWD department, but I think it should move away from the PWD department and have a separate department of its own. That's own job is to look at the stormwater drains and the stormwater drains that are there in the city. Its only job is to ensure that it works.
Pankaj, appreciate your real-time honesty as always. I'm going to put our profession on the line over here and ask you, do you think the media coverage has impacted public awareness? Because essentially every time it rains, we're putting out a video saying, take a look at these, appalling visuals of how a car goes for swimming in the Beas, or how, Satluj has pretty much swallowed in portions of Chandigarh. How is the media coverage of the deluge disaster, its impact on public awareness and understanding of the challenges that we actually face, and not just take a look at horrifying visuals, but why we've gotten there and how do we come out of it?
Well, Kabir, there is a saying in Hindi. It says, "Ab pachtaye kya hot jab chidiya chug gayi khet." The thing is, for the media houses, you ask, and for the civic administration also, for both of them, they are reacting far too late by the time the horses have bolted. The thing is, media, if it had to actually be the flag bearer or the beacon of drawing attention of the authorities towards such very real, very credible threats, then they should have rather started broadcasting and debating such issues on a regular basis, not when these rains have happened, not when this downpour has happened, but before that also, so that something could have done in time. Okay, so media has done the due diligence, let me say that. And News9 Live, once again, throughout the day, the way it is planned as of now, and time and again also, not just this. I mean, I'm not saying that, this is a time when just by covering the issue would solve the matter. That's not the case. But when there were cracks in the northern part of the country, when we saw, Joshimath had witnessed cracks since that time also, December of 2022, January of 2023. Incessantly, we have been covering issues like deforestation, how the Yamuna water is getting polluted by the pollutants coming out from several industries in and around Delhi. All those things have been there. But my point is, media's role doesn't start or end here. They could show you the gravity of the situation, but unfortunately, trust me, media's reason to show you a inundated road is more banking towards which government ruled state that is. And if media has to go hammers and tongs against Arvind Kejriwal, civic apathy in Delhi would come into picture. But neighboring areas, or for that matter, Himachal or Jammu and Kashmir or other parts of the country, unfortunately, a twist is given कि सरकार क्या कर रही है वहां की. It's not सरकार क्या कर रही है issue, not at all. The issue is, have we been able to draw the attention and file reports time and again which shows clogged drains before the rains? That hasn't happened, first of all. Secondly, even for the authorities, Arvind Kejriwal cancelling the weekly offs of officers of Municipal Corporation of Delhi was, a last-minute effort that was done.
All right.
There is,
so,
as they're saying, I'll just finish my chain of thoughts here.
Certainly.
If you have given 5 days to cut a tree, Kabir, then I would say the first 3 days you sharpen your axe, and in the next 2 days you cut the tree. Instead of sharpening the axe, let alone sharpening the axe, there is no effort to cut down the tree also. I mean, just an example. And the preparation is not there, just waiting for the last moment. And when it happens, the scale is so big that it is impossible for any civic authority to attend it.
Whew. That is actually, quite thoughtful to think at this point in time. What's going to happen next in the next 2 days? Yellow alert for Delhi. Is Delhi going to be better prepared? Will this Sunday leave that has been cancelled by the Chief Minister for all the government officials, will that reap any benefits? And largely, will people actually come to terms with the fact that they will have to introspect, they will have to look inside their own collars and understand what's really happening, what must they also do to bring the situation back in control? There's no let up in rain, schools are continue to be shut, houses are collapsing, walls are collapsing, there is waterlogging in some 210 different places across the national capital. Where is all of this leading to? Well, we'll have to wait and find out, even as the Yamuna is in full spate right now. Haryana has
monitoring the situation till tomorrow morning is what we are.
Certainly. And today as well at 3 p.m. you can join News 9 Live for a special discussion on our cities that are getting flooded and being, swallowed whole by these river bodies as well. Pankaj is going to be at the helm of that particular discussion as well. Pankaj, many thanks for joining with us and helping us out with those, great examples of what's happening wrong and what can be done in those places. Varghese, always a pleasure to be speaking to you. We're going to keep our ears and eyes on the ground, getting you all the latest updates. You can follow us on Instagram, on Threads, and on Twitter as well to keep yourself up to date on everything that's related to the Delhi Deluge disaster. Noida faring a little bit better. That's where planning comes into the being. At 3 p.m. you can join us with some experts also that tell you exactly why it's happening and what needs to be done in Delhi and why Noida is faring better. Many thanks, Varghese. Pankaj, always a pleasure. That's all the time we have for you. Thank you so much for watching News 9 Live.
GPT. It can generate codes and human-like responses through text, write stories, and do a lot more.
I work in a newsroom with anchors, researchers and scriptwriters, graphic artists, producers, video editors, camera crew. But does a newsroom really need them today?
All of us have to think about unique and distinctive value addition that cannot be automated or repeated or replaced by a machine.
ChatGPT may kill many companies.
A human has to be in the loop with an ability to control this.
Dark Side of the Boom. Streaming now.
Pakistan is actually genociding Baluch people. So being Baluch is a crime. If you are a Baluch, it means in the eyes of Pakistan, you don't have any right to live.
The Chinese and Pakistanis are colonizing the Baluch and exploiting their resources.
Baluch are armed struggle will continue unless China withdraws, the Pakistan military withdraws from Balochistan, and give Baloch complete authority to decide for themselves.
The Baloch feel that if they don't act now, they will become marginalized.
What lies ahead for Balochistan?
Balochistan, Bangladesh 2.0. This and more. Streaming on India's first OTT video magazine, News 9 Plus. Download now.
3, 2, 1, now.
It's stealthy, lethal, and precise. The BrahMos kills warships. It flies 3 times the speed of sound. Once it acquires a target, it can cut through a warship like a hot knife through butter. China has assembled the world's largest navy. Its neighbors are feeling threatened by the dragon's military might. Many of them are turning to BrahMos to enhance their firepower.
The BrahMos supersonic missile can be launched from land, air, sea and underwater. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and most weapon systems cannot intercept it.
The BrahMos has been with the Indian Armed Forces for more than 2 decades, but it has begun to find buyers only now. BrahMos Aerospace has sold it to the Philippines. Indonesia is next with a $200 million plus deal, and the company is now talking to many other potential buyers.
Southeast Asia becomes an automatic market for 2 or 3 reasons. Number one is, of course, India's policy to look east. There is a common reason for looking at Southeast Asia, securing their seas against any hegemony of any of the other countries. Mainly the West Philippine Sea has a lot of problems, so that's why the Philippines has gone into it, and the surrounding countries also will be looking for very similar reasons.
There are strong concerns in ASEAN about aggressive policies of China on different issues, including South China Sea.
हम अपनी फौज के साथ खड़े हैं, हमारी फौज ने हमें जंग जितवाई है.
Imran Khan was brought in by the army thinking that he would be better than the 2 established political parties.
मैं Imran Ahmed Khan Niazi.
They were quite confident that if he did not behave, they would be able to snip him off.
Imran Khan has been able to openly defy the army.
He has become the Frankenstein that they created.
ओके जी, शुरू करें. मैं आज अल्लाह का शुक्र अदा करता हूँ कि 22 साल की स्ट्रगल.
I think he delivered this victory speech even before the results were out. Of course, his party won nearly 115 seats that election, which he fought entirely